Hello, Shalom. Welcome to day 75 of the Daily Bread. We'll be reading from the Scriptures, 2009. We'll be in Exodus chapter 36, 2 Samuel 5, Psalm 79, Proverbs 13, and from the book of Luke 20. Okay. Exodus chapter 36 on page 97. And Beshael and Ohlab and every wise-hearted man in whom Yahweh has given wisdom and understanding to know how to do all work for the service of the set-apart place shall do according to all that Yahweh has commanded. And Moshe called Beshael and Olah and every wise-hearted man in whose heart Yahweh had given wisdom, everyone whose heart lifted him up to come and to do the work. And they received from Moshe all the contribution which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of making a set-apart place. But they still brought to him voluntary offering every morning. So all the craftsmen who were doing all the work of the set-apart place came, each from the work he was doing. And they spoke to Moshe, saying, the people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Yahweh commanded us to do. Then Moshe commanded, and they sent this word throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman do any more work for the contribution of the set-apart place. And the people were withheld from bringing. From what they had was enough for all the work to be done, more than enough. Then all the wise-hearted ones among them who worked in the dwelling place made 10 curtains woven of fine linen and blue and purple and scarlet material. They made them with cherubim and the work of all the skilled workmen. The length of each curtain was 28 cubits, and the width of each curtain was 4 cubits. For the curtains having one measure, all the curtains having one measure. And he joined 5 curtains, one to another, and the other 5 curtains he joined one to another. And he made loops of blue on the edge of each curtain of one set, the same he did on the edge of the end curtain of the other set. 50 loops he made for one curtain, and 50 loops he made for the end of the second set. And the loops held one curtain to another. And he made 50 hooks of gold, and joined the curtains to each other with the hooks, and the dwelling place became one. And he made curtains of goat's hair for the tent over the dwelling place. He made 11 curtains. The length of each curtain was 30 cubits, and the width of each curtain was 4 cubits, and 11 curtains having one measure. And he joined the 5 curtains by themselves, and the 6 curtains by themselves, and he made 50 loops on the edge of the curtain in one set, and 50 loops he made on the edge of the curtain of the second set. And he made 50 bronze hooks to join the tent to be one. And he made a covering for the tent of ram skin dyed red, and a covering of fine leather above that. And for the dwelling place he made boards of Arcadia wood standing up. The length of each board was 10 cubits, and the width of each board a cubit and a half. Each board had 2 tenons for binding one to another, So he did all the boards of the dwelling place, and he made boards of the dwelling place, 20 boards for the south, and he made 40 sockets of silver to go under the 20 boards, and 2 sockets under each of the boards for its 2 tenons, and for the other side of the dwelling place, for the north side, he made 20 boards, and there are 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under the one board, and 2 sockets under the other board. And he made 6 boards for the west side of the dwelling place, and he made 2 boards for the 2 back corners of the dwelling place. And they were double beneath, and similarly they were complete to the top by 1 ring. So he did to both of them for the 2 corners. And there were 8 boards, and their silver sockets, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under each of the boards. And he made bars of Arcadia wood, 5 for the boards for one side of the dwelling place, and 5 bars for the boards on the other side of the dwelling place, and 5 bars for the boards of the dwelling place at the rear westward. And he made the middle bar to pass through the boards from one end to the other. And he overlaid the boards with gold, and their rings he made of gold to be holders for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. And he made a veil of blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine worked linen, it made with cherubim, the work of a skilled workman. And he made 4 columns of Arcadia wood for it, and laid them with gold, with their hooks of gold, and he cast 4 sockets of silver for them. And he made a covering for the tent door of blue and purple and scarlet material, and fine woven linen, made by a weaver, and its 5 columns with their hooks. And he overlaid their tops and their rings with gold, but their 5 sockets were of bronze. On to 2 Samuel chapter 5, on page 320. And all the tribes of Israel came to David at Hebron, and he spoke, saying, Look, we are your bone and your flesh. Formerly, when Saul was sovereign over us, you were the one who led Israel out and brought them in. And Yahweh said to you, Shepherd my people, Israel, and be ruler over Israel. And all the elders of Israel came to the sovereign at Hebron, and sovereign David made a covenant with them at Hebron before Yahweh, and they anointed David sovereign over Israel. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 new moons. And in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years over all Jerusalem and Judah. And the sovereign and his men went to Jerusalem against the Uzabites, the inhabitants of the land. And they spoke to David, saying, Expect you to take away the blind and the lame. You are not going to come in here, thinking, David is not going to come in here. But David conquered the stronghold of Zion, the city of David. And David said on that day, Anyone who strikes the Uzabites, let him go by the water shaft and take the lame and the blind, who are hated by David's doing. And he makes me repeat verse 8. And David said on that day, Anyone who strikes the Uzabites, let him go by the water shaft and take the lame and the blind, who are hated by David's being. That is why they say the blind and the lame do not come into the house. And David dwelt in the stronghold and called it the city of David. And David built all around from the Malal and inward. And David went on and became great, and Yahweh Elohim of hosts was with him. Now Hiram, sovereign of Sur, sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons, and they built a house for David. And David knew that Yahweh had established him as sovereign of Israel, and he had exalted his reign because of his people Israel. And David took more concubines and wives from Jerusalem after he had come from Hebron, and had more sons and daughters born up to David. And these were the names of those born to him in Jerusalem: Shemama, and Shohab, and Nathan, and Solomon, and Yabban, and Elijah, Nepha, Yaphi, Elisha, Eliad, and Eliab. And the Philistines heard that they had appointed David sovereign of Israel, and all the Philistines went up to search for David. But David heard and went down to the stronghold. And the Philistines came and spread themselves out in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of Yahweh, saying, Do I go up against the Philistines? Do you give them into my hand? And Yahweh said to David, Go up, for I shall certainly give the Philistines into your hand. And David came to Baal Perazim, and David struck them there. And he said, Yahweh has spoken through my enemies before me, like a breakthrough of water. So he called the name of that place Baal Perazim, and they left their images there, and David and his men took them away. And the Philistines again came up and were spread out in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of Yahweh, he said, Do not go up. Turn around behind them, and you shall come up upon them in the front of the mulberry trees. And it shall be, when you hear the sound of stepping in the tops of the mulberry trees, then act promptly. For then Yahweh shall go out before you and strike the camp of the Philistines. And David did so, as Yahweh commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Gahab and as far as Gezer. On to Psalm 79 on page 692. O Elohim, the nations have come into your inheritance. They have defiled your set-apart Hekel. They turned Jerusalem into ruins. They have given the dead bodies of your servants as food for the birds of the heavens, the flesh of your loving committed ones to the wild beasts of the earth. They have poured out their blood like water all around Jerusalem, with no one to bury them. We have become a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and mockery to those who are around us. How long, O Yahweh, would you be enraged forever? Would your jealousy burn like fire? Pour out your wrath on the nations who have not known you, and on the reigns that have not called on your name. For they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his pasture. Do not remember against us the crookedness of the fathers. Let your compassion speedily meet us, for they have greatly weakened. Help us, O Elohim of our deliverance, the forsake of the esteem of your name, and deliver us and cover over our sins. for your name's sake. Why should the nations say, where is their Elohim? Let the vengeance of the outpoured blood of your servants be known among the nations. Before our eyes, let the groaning of the prisoner come before you, according to the greatness of your arm. Preserve those anointed to death, and repay to our neighbors sevenfold their reproach into their bosom, with which they have reproached you, O Yahweh. And we, your people, and the sheep of your pasture, we give thanks to you forever. From generation to generation, we show forth your praise. Proverbs 13 on page 740. A wise son accepts his father's discipline, but a scoffer shall not listen to rebuke. From the fruit of the mouth of a man eats the good, but the desire of the treacherous is for violence. He who watches over his mouth guards his beam, but he who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. The being of the lazy one craves but has not, while the being of the hard workers are enriched. A righteous one hates lying word, but a wrong man is lonesome and comes to shame. Righteousness watches over him who is perfect in the way, but wrongness overthrows the sinner. There is one who makes himself rich, yet has none at all, and one who makes himself poor, yet has great riches. The ransom of a man's life is his riches, but the poor does not hear rebuke. Let the light of the righteous rejoice, but the lamp of the wrong is put out. By pride comes only strife, but wisdom is with those who take advice. Wealth from vanity diminishes, but he who gathers by hand increases. Expectancy drawn out makes the heart sick, but a longing come true is a tree of life. He who despises the word is destroyed. Word is capitalized. Some think that many believe that it means the Torah. But he who fears the command is rewarded. Remember in Proverbs 6, it's the Torah is the light. The command is a lamp, sorry. That's what I meant. Verse 23 of Proverbs 6. But he who fears the command is rewarded. The Torah of the wise is a fountain of life, one turning away from the snares of death. Good understanding gains favor, but the way of the treacherous is hard. Everyone with insight acts with knowledge, but a fool spreads folly. A messenger that is wrong falls into evil, but a trustworthy envoy is healing. Poverty and shame are for him who ignores discipline, but he who heeds reproof is esteemed. A desire accomplished is sweet to the being, but to turn away from evil is an abomination to fools. He who walks with the wise shall be wise, but the companion of fools suffers evil. Evil pursues sinners, but good is repaid to the righteous. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Much food is in the tillable ground of the poor, but lack of right ruling sweeps it away. He who spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him seeks him with discipline. The righteous eats to the satisfying of his being, but the stomach of the wrong is lacking. Now into the Gospel of Luke, page 1020. 1012, sorry, 1012. And it came to be, on one of those days that he was teaching the people in the set apart place and bringing the good news, Yeshua, that the chief priests and scribes together with the elders came up and spoke to him, Yeshua, saying, "Say to us, by what authority are you doing these? Or who is he who gives you this authority?" And he answering said to them, "I shall ask you one question too, and answer me. The immersion of John, was it from heaven or from men?" And they debated among themselves, saying, "If we say from heaven, he shall say, then why did you not believe him? But if we say from men, all the people shall stone us, for they are persuaded that Johann, was a prophet." And they answered, and they said they did not know from where it was. And Yeshua said to them, "Neither do I say to you by what authority I do these." And he began to speak this parable to the people. A certain man planted a vineyard and leased it to farmers and went away for a long time. And at harvest time he sent a servant to the farmers to give him some of the fruit from the vineyard. But the farmers beat him and sent him away empty-handed. And again he sent another servant, and they beat him too and maltreated him and sent him away empty-handed. And again he sent a third, and they wounded him too and cast him out. And the owner of the vineyard said, "What shall I do? I shall send my son, the beloved. They might respect him when they see him." But when the farmers saw him, they reasoned among themselves, saying, "This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, so that the inheritance becomes ours." And they cast him out of the vineyard and killed him. What then shall the owner of the vineyard do to them? He shall come and destroy those farmers and give the vineyard to others. And having heard, they said, "Let it not be." But he looked at them and said, "What then is this that has been written? The stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone." Psalms 118:22. Everyone who falls on the stone shall be broken, but whoever it falls, he shall be pulverized. And the chief priests and the scribes sought to lay hands on him in the same hour, but they feared the people, for they knew that he had spoken this parable against them. And keeping a close watch on him, they sent spies to pretend to be righteous, to catch him in a word, in order to deliver him to the rule and to the authority of the governor. So they asked him, saying, "Teacher, we know that you say and teach rightly, and you are not partial to any, but teach the way of Elohim truly. Is it right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" But perceiving their craftiness, he said to them, "Why do you try me? Show me a denarius. Whose likeness and inscription does it have?" And they answering said, "Caesar's." Okay. And he said to them, "Then give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to Elohim what is Elohim's." And they were unable to catch him in the saying in the presence of the people, and marveling at his answer, they were silent. And some of the Sadducees, who deny that there is a resurrection, came to him and asked him, saying, "Teacher, Moshe wrote to us that if a man's brother dies having a wife, and he dies childless, his brother should take his wife and raise up offspring of his brother." Deuteronomy 25:5. Now There were 7 brothers, and the first took a wife and died childless, and the second took her as a wife and died childless, and the third took her, and in the same way the 7 also. And they left no children and died. And last of all, the woman died too. At the resurrection, then, whose wife does she become? For the 7 had her as a wife. And Yeshua answering said to them, the sons of this age marry and are given in marriage. But those who were counted worthy of attaining that age and the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are they given in marriage, for neither is it possible for them to die any more, because they are like the messengers and the sons of Elohim, being sons of the resurrection. But that the dead are raised, even Moshe showed at the bush when he called Yahweh the Elohim of Abraham and the Elohim of Isaac and the Elohim of Jacob. Now he is not the Elohim of the dead, but of the living, for all live to him. And some of the scribes answering said, Teacher, you have spoken well. And they were bold enough to question him. They were not bold enough to question him anymore. And he said to them, how do you say that the Messiah is the son of David? For David himself said in the book of Psalms, Yahweh said to my master, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool of your feet. Psalms 110, verse 1. David then calls him master. How is he then his son? And in the hearing of all the people, he said to his taught ones, beware of the scribes who like to walk in long robes and love greetings in the marketplaces and the best seats in the congregations and the best places at feasts, who devour widows' houses and for a show make long prayers. They shall receive greater judgment. Shalom. Make it a great day. Read your Bible and talk to Father.